In this video, I want to share a website with you called Varsity Tutors that was shared with me by a fellow teacher at school. If you go to varsitytutors.com, it appears to just be a tutoring website where you can sign up to receive tutoring. But if you go to account and you can make a free account, it will unlock so many opportunities for you to provide test questions, practice problems for your students, problems to pull for yourself as resources as you're trying to make different assessments for your students. So once you log on, after you've made your free account, it will take you to the dashboard. And you have several different options. You can create a problem set. You can choose from existing tests or flashcards. You can see some tests that I took while I was kind of navigating around this site today. You can also click on sets created and see different ones that I either created or any that you choose from existing tests will show up here. These are actually, with the exception of the algebra test, ones that I just found from existing tests. So if you click on create a problem set, you can title your question your question set whatever you would like it to be. So maybe an algebra test on solving equations, whatever your topic is, and create problem set. And once it takes you to this, you have the option to see all the questions that you will put in your algebra test or whatever test that you're working with. You can create a new question or you can pull questions from the library set of questions that they have. So in the new question setting, it's not directly labeled, but this button right here is your equation editor. And so you can insert an equation that you would like for your kids to solve. So maybe x minus 3 squared equals 9. And notice it's showing you a preview down here at the bottom of what it's going to look like once you insert it. You've got several different options of different characters, different symbols that you can use up here. So a lot of different options you can select for trig functions, inverse trig if you teach higher level, lots of different options. And then you can insert your equation and maybe provide some directions of what you would like them to do. And then you will go and put in the answer choices. So Varsity Tutors always uses a multiple choice format. So notice it is asking you for the correct answer first. You don't have to mix up where the correct answer is. The answers will be displayed in random order. So let's say for this problem, my answer would be x equals 6 and x equals 0, if I've done my math correctly. So I'm going to type that in, again, using my equation editor, and then you can just type in the different incorrect answer choices that you want to use. Maybe you want to use x equals 3. Just going to kind of make these up so you can see. And again, you're getting the preview every time you use the equation editor, and then it's going to ask you to give an explanation of the answer so that when the user reviews these questions, they have some additional feedback. So you can direct them on what method to use or however you want to provide feedback for your students if this is what you are quizzing them on. You can upload images, and once you've uploaded them, just kind of drag and drop them into where you need them, and then save the question that you want. So you can do a combination of new questions and questions from the question library. So I'm going to go into my question library, and it's going to ask me to filter by subject. And look at the wealth of subjects that they have available for you to use. They have everything from AP classes to preparation for different standardized tests. They have CLEP tests. They have GRE practice, I believe. So lots of different options for you here, but we're just going to stick for this example with good old Algebra 1, and I'm going to try systems of equations and see what it will pull up for me. Okay, and I find a question that maybe I like, and I'm going to add that question. I can preview it if I want, just to see what it'll look like inside the quiz. And then once I add the question, it will show back up here at the top under questions. So then you can go to take a test. Okay, and if you scroll down to whichever test you would like, let's go down to math and Algebra 1, and I can pick from practice tests, I can pick from flashcards, question of the day. So I'm going to try a practice test, and you could use this at the beginning of the year if you're trying to give diagnostic tests to your students on different topics, or at the beginning of each unit. But if I scroll down, I kind of have things broken up by different categories. So I'm just going to pick this quadratic equations practice test. And so I can copy it to the dashboard. I can embed it. I can share it. If you're working with another teacher, you can share it. Or I could begin this test if I was just practicing on my own. So I'm going to copy it to my dashboard. Okay, and so I have quadratic equations. Okay, and if I want to send this link to my students so they can take the test, if I come over here and I click Take Test, then once the test starts, I'll have the option for a link, an option to email them, or even to embed it if you want to embed it in your classroom learning management system that you have. So if I click on the link, I'm going to copy this link, and just so you see how it works, I'm going to post it into another browser that I'm not already logged into. And I can begin the test. It may take a little bit for it to load, and I can just start answering questions. It's going to keep track of my progress, let me know how much of it I've completed. And I can save and continue later, which is a nice feature. Sometimes when you do online activities in the classroom, some students take longer to complete things and they need a little more time. So if they can save and come back to it later at home, that's helpful rather than them having to start over. And whenever they finish, then they can see their results. And so it's going to show me, or I'm sorry, it's going to ask me to log into my account, because remember I'm logged into a different browser. So if your students have their account, they can log in, or they can make their own account, or they can just hit no thanks if you're only using this maybe 1 or 2 times in the year. So it's going to give me a summary of how much time I've spent, the percentage that I got right, but then down here it kind of gives me some comparisons, and it lets me see the questions that I missed. So I only answered 2 questions, so I'm only getting feedback on those 2 questions. So it's a really great tool. You'll notice that they can view the explanation for why the correct answer was what it was. So again, a great way for you to give feedback for your students. If you just have that student that needs that extra practice, or is just struggling with one particular content area, topics that you've been talking about, you could assign them some kind of test in Varsity Tutors. The other option you can do, I'm going to go back to where I am logged in, is you can go in under groups and you can create different classes, and it will allow you to manage the different users in this group. So I haven't had any of my students sign up for this, but if you go in under manage users, you would need to import their information and email address individually, or you could import it from a list. Let's say you already had it set up in a Google Sheet. You could probably copy and paste and just import it here. And what this can do is you will then be allowed to see data from students that are in your group. So if you wanted to assign a diagnostic test and see how all of your kids did, if they're in your group, Varsity Tutors will give you that option. So I really feel like Varsity Tutors is a great website if you don't have other online problem sets available to you through your school district, or if you're looking for just a place that you can send your students to get extra practice. Being able to see what they're struggling with and what they're missing is always a great tool, but the ability for them to go at their own pace and get feedback on what they're missing is truly powerful. So I hope you find this helpful and will be able to use this in your classroom with whatever topic that you teach, because as you can see, Varsity Tutors has lots of different subjects and even various branches within mathematics for us to choose from.